attendees in these seminars are more engaged if they are doing something and not just being a receiver, but if they are also a participant. And at the same time, learning about the entire cycle of disaster management from mitigation, preparedness, response, early recovery, and rehabilitation. The board games or any type of products, creative products that we're producing in our studio will be able to engage the players on the applicability of what it's supposed to be when we're on the ground, like making it as real as close as possible to what it feels like to be a humanitarian actor. We're doing it here in Manila, and we're targeting primary schools, secondary schools, and some tertiary institutions. And we tested it with primarily master's and PhD students who are into disaster risk management and hazards assessment. They were very positive about it and looking forward to having this game played to as part of the school curriculum, including as well local government units, some of the few organizations you see here that are in charge of making sure that annually people should be given education on disaster risks. The Philippine government spends billion pesos, more than a billion pesos allocated for disaster risk reduction management. It challenges players to think strategically and creatively, and I hope we could one day see that this game will find its way into your countries and also as part of a regular toolkit for disaster education.
Questions are on the chat. First is, can the game be downloaded? How can you modify the game to adapt to local wisdom and culture?
People can modify it to their own languages, contextualize the situations or the scenarios, including these game cards to specific disasters or hazards in particular countries. But we are thinking in the future to develop another type of board game that is following on the models of free and open source that people can easily modify and adapt the templates that we have produced for the game cards, the game boards, the different game pieces.
Yes, so my name is Kishi, and I'm from Mongolia. I'm the coordinator of the United Nations Youth Advisory Panel. So when Regina was here in June, we held a youth consultation, and the results of the consultation, especially in the parts of social innovation, was very interesting. So that um, Mongolian nomadic culture can be used as social innovation, since innovation can be seen as something old or maybe forgotten that can be used in a different and new way. So what we came up with was, like, for example, the Mongolian gear, like the Mongolian yurt, as we would call it. It's very easy to set up and very easy to take down and move it around as well. So it can be used. The design can be used in different ways. And for example, the bots, as I mentioned before, it's a way of processing meat. It's like beef jerky, but it's been used for over 1,000 years in Mongolia.
Your additions to the nomadic culture in Mongolia and how it can be related to humanitarian action.
Like from the times of Chinggis Khan, the soldiers would use it, process it, dry it, process it, and use it on their journeys and conquests as well. So like a pinch of that powdered meat will create a whole bowl of soup, for example, like that. So those were the ideas from the consultation.
Just to give you a brief background, one third of the world's food production is being wasted. It's like buying three grocery bags from your favorite supermarket, but throwing one bag away to the bin before you even go home. But if we just take this banana, for example, get it before it expires, you can dry it and turn it into powder, and we can extend its shelf life from 2 weeks, next slide, to 2 years, and also preserve nutrients depending on the drying process. This food powder industry is a $19 billion market last 2014, and it will still increase to 21 billion by 2019. We will disrupt this market by having competitive costing, because most of our competitors spend on purchasing fruits and vegetables, but we will only pay 50% of that. And this is our PR so far, which was already translated in 5 different languages all over the world. And we are also featured in Time. We have received like 2,700 euros funding from Leapfrogs, is an accelerator in Sweden, and we won in the Pirate Summit in Milano. We're talking with Unilever and also with Tesco. They currently throw away their expired fruits and vegetables. So we talked with the Department of Social Welfare and Development to be used for relief goods and for feeding programs. It's a very good addition to our current relief goods pack. We don't put fruits and vegetables. Then if we add FOPO food powder, we can also add nutrition in their relief goods. We fed 400 children. We gave FOPO drinks with calamansi, and yeah, they liked it. Usually they're refugees from the recent typhoons, and also some are Badjao. Badjao is an indigenous group in the Philippines where they usually eat just mainly carbohydrates. We are not creating a new product or a new technology. We are just creating value from the inefficiency of the current food system.
Yes. So
Yes.
there was a
Yes,
question
yes, yes.
on extending the business to other countries or other regions around the world.
Yes, definitely. It is very feasible and scalable to do it in Cameroon or in any other part of the world. We can only not use fruits and vegetables, but you can also use it for meat.
Monday Morning Matters
Perspectives
from Southeast Asia.
Hey, this is Arlene, and you're listening to Durian ASEAN. Together with me are four young advocates for refugee, in particular the Rohingya community.
Now I'm very much involved with the refugees community because I'm basically trained for war zones and conflict area.
Research how we can help these refugees, especially the Rohingya refugees, to upgrade their livelihood. How this burden can be converted to the assets. So they don't have to find the market in the Malaysia. They can also find the market in the online basis, like this soft skills or like in this computer skills.
I'm actually a student filmmaker from MMU Johor. The video is actually online. It's a Malay title. It's called Mencari Teduh, or the English title, which is called Seeking Shade.
So I'm from the World Humanitarian Summit, and I focus on youth development and policy making. Pressure should be from the bottom and also from the top. One of the things that young people can contribute is just presence, which is why I started this project or movement with other fellow young volunteers. Not also just about skills, but also they still need that values formation component, like leadership training.
Saying is we need to multiply as many young ACRA as
definitely.
possible, because the issue is very complex and is related to relationship between other countries as well.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
And talking about other countries, of course, we are looking at ASEAN here.
Like I've been talking about movements on the ground, peace building, youth development, human development, but there should be work from the top, policy level solution. For me, I think the OIC should play a stronger role. The OIC has been sending aid to the Rohingya refugees, and you've got Saudi Arabia hosting the most number of Rohingya refugees actually. Even if we do solve these problems on a policy level, at the end of the day, that would never happen if the people themselves don't want to accept the Rohingyas. interfaith understanding between the Buddhists and Muslims.
Avoiding the influx of refugees coming into Malaysia is also one of the reasons why Malaysia did not sign the 1951 United Nations Convention related to refugees and the 1967 Protocol. It is also similar with cases with the Bangladesh. If we always accept it, we are not solving the root of the problem.
So I guess the answer to this question would be to raise as much awareness as possible as in what is happening, and not just in terms of government to government, but also the community. So finally, my last question to everyone: what do you think the future would hold for the Rohingya refugee, and what can we do about it?
Well, as a filmmaker, I think that it is most imperative that people are aware about the situation there.
I encourage young people around ASEAN to volunteer, to channel our own talents and passions. Please like our Facebook page, Committee for ASEAN Youth Volunteers, if you want to keep posted on, and if you want to volunteer as teachers, that would be really nice.
We should not just look and their burden to the country. They can be the assets. I'm from Islamic finance background, so I know that Islamic finance has some certain tools, because they are also Muslims. We have zakat and waqf that we cannot use for the people in the corporate life. It should must to go for the vulnerable people.
We are all Generation Y. We are creative, and all of us have different skill sets. Use that skill towards contributing to the community, whichever community that needs help, in this case refugees. Any skills that they could have is actually valuable, will enable them to stand up for themselves, because if not now, then when? If not all of us, then who?
With that, thank you very much.
There's an online question from the Facebook group. What are your specific tips for other young people who are about to start their own social enterprise or social innovation?
Young people thinking inside the box and thinking out of the box to address national and global issues. They co-created solutions. They have partners, effective or helpful to work with the public in the private sector or even the academe. And I think it's also important to come up with youth indicators in line with the new framework on DRR. I remember one of my mentors told me that funding should never be the main consideration when you come up with a social innovation project. The important thing to do first is to really understand what is the problem that you want to address. And we have to be careful because sometimes the solutions that we try to propose can actually be potential problems in the future.
And if you have further suggestions on how youth can be more engaged in humanitarian action, please do send them to me, Regine, at childrenyouth.org, or the WHS Working Group